Hey, this is Larry Gonzales, and we're in Dallas, Texas, where we have joined with GoPack Hispanic. They've brought together several candidates from across the country to get together and talk about issues and how to run your campaign. We've met some phenomenal people here this weekend, but one of the people I met is State Representative Steve Montenegro from Arizona, and he and I have had this dialogue about the Arizona law, and I wanted to clarify for myself what that law really meant and what it did and what the misconceptions are. So I wanted to videotape that for you guys so you can hear it from one of the co-sponsors of the bill to tell you more about it. So the big question, what does the bill actually do that you passed in the Arizona legislature?
Well, I'm glad you actually take time to ask that question, because that's the center of what people are misunderstanding and what the media is exploiting, really trying to use and take advantage of the Hispanic community. What the bill does in the center and the focus is that it enforces federal laws that are already there. There's nothing new in this immigration bill outside of the scope that states are allowed to do. What this bill goes to is to allow police officers to use the tools that have been given to them by the federal government, and not allow cities or any municipalities in the state to prevent that from happening. So if police officers run into the bad guys, run into criminals, run into someone that's committed a crime, then they'll be able to find out who these people are without just letting them go.
And that is somebody who has committed a crime, correct?
Correct. Federal law allows for a police officer to ask or inquire the status of a person that's an immigrant already. What the state law actually does is it does two things. First, the person has to have committed a violation of law. They have to have committed a crime or a violation of any type of law. Second of all, even after that, the police officer has to have probable cause. In the law itself, we wrote in there that if you pull out your driver's license or different types of IDs, after the person shows a driver's license or an ID, that's it. There's no more probable cause. The driver's license alone proves that person is okay.
Okay, great. Equally important question is, what doesn't this bill do?
Well, that's a great question. What people need to understand is that this is no new immigration law. What this bill does is, again, it allows police officers to do their job, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't give them any new authorities to pull people over. This law does not allow for police officers to all of a sudden say, well, I'm going to start pulling people over for this reason. If they can pull you over now, they're going to be able to pull you over later. There's no new authorities for people or for police officers to exploit. So people are saying, well, there's racial profiling. The bill itself, laws do not racial profile. This law does not racial profile. We made sure of that. People racial profile. So if there's bad police officers now, they're doing it now. They're racially profiling now. What this bill does is it allows police officers to use tools they already have, but it doesn't give them any new tools or any new authorities to pull people.
So we were talking earlier, and you told me that you are the only Republican Hispanic in either the House or the Senate.
In Arizona.
In Arizona. And of course in Texas, we don't have any in the House or the Senate. So my question to you is, when this bill came across and you began to look at it and read it, why did you vote for the Arizona bill?
Well, I appreciate that question. First of all, a lot of thought and prayer goes into these decisions. I took it under a lot of thought. We had constitutional lawyers looking at it. We fixed certain things, closed certain loopholes that we thought perhaps would allow racial profiling. They're gone, in my opinion. But I voted for it because in Arizona, there's two big issues. The first one is crime. The crime that is coming across the border, the narco traffics, the human smuggling, drug smuggling, weapons, how can we sit by and allow child trafficking? Now, Phoenix is the capital of kidnappings in the whole country, and in the world, second only to Mexico City. So there's a lot of crime involved, and the Hispanic community really suffers a lot of this as well. So what this bill does is it allows police officers to go after bad guys when they encounter them. The crime element is a big issue, but also in Arizona, it's an economic issue. I mean, we have a tremendous deficit in Arizona, and we have to make sure that the police officers are able to do their job, and at the same time we're going after bad people that should be, and people that are causing a cost to the state. So I voted for it because there's a huge crime element that police officers are now going to be able to use the tools that they have legitimately by the federal government, and because it's an economic issue as well.
So as I was reading the bill, and as I was going through it myself, as originally passed, as being a staffer for as long as I have been, and having written legislation, sometimes there are some unintended consequences to legislation. Maybe it does something that you didn't intend for it to do. So as I was reading the Senate bill, I could see where some of the concerns were in the use of the word contact. It said lawful contact. I understand where kind of the questions came from. But what so few people seem to realize is that you guys subsequently came back and you changed the language, which I thought very clearly addressed that issue. Once you passed the second part of that, I think any kind of misunderstandings went away. What happened during that process?
Well, you are correct. The original language said lawful contact, but we came back, and there was a lot of people that were beginning to raise concerns about that, which the constitutional lawyers that spoke to us told us that was covered. But in order to go that extra mile, we did come back and we changed the wording to, instead of lawful contact, now it states lawful stop or lawful arrest. Therefore, someone has to they have to break the law first in order for this whole process to begin. But that was done in order to even strengthen it more. It was already covered, but we wanted to make sure, okay, if these are concerns, let's go the extra.
So another question I want to ask you about has to do with the Department of Justice, federal government, coming in and suing your state over this law. What's the feeling in Arizona about the federal government coming in and suing you guys over the legislation?
Well, first of all, it's ridiculous. I mean, to come in and tell Arizona you can't enforce federal laws when we have already that we're a sovereign state, just like the sovereign state of Texas, the sovereign state of Arizona. We have a certain sovereignty, and we took an oath to defend the people of Arizona. We took an oath to protect them against, all that comes against when it comes to foreign as well. Now, I know that it's a foreign country that we neighbor with or we have a border with, but if the federal government doesn't step up and do its job, we have a responsibility to do ours. And so I think it's silly that they sue us. By their lawsuit states that we are going against the federal law, which is a silly argument because this law 1070, what it does is it enforces it. In no way is it trumping it or going against it. So they really have no argument. What's really happening is that they're pandering to the left, to their political base. They're trying to act like they're doing something to stop it, and they're not going to be able to. I think that with Judge Bolton, with her putting certain sections on hold, she didn't reject it. Even if she didn't agree with them, what she did is she thought that it was worthy of consideration at the next step of the courts. So it'll go to the next to the circuit court, and whether one side wins or the other one wins, it's still going up to the Supreme Court. And I feel strongly that at the end of the day, the sovereignty of Arizona and the ability to enforce the laws that we have and protect the people that we have in Arizona is going to stand. And we were ready for this. We knew it was going to go to the Supreme Court, so we welcome. They have no case.
So 1070 passes in late April, and since then there have been quite a few naysayers. What do you tell them?
Well, first of all, I try to find out why they're upset. First thing I tell people is we have to read the bill. Read the bill yourself. Go in there just like your future state representative here did. Go and find out what's going on, because there's a lot of people that are lying about this. They're politicizing the subject to score political points. Washington should be ashamed of themselves for what they're doing. They really are. They're going after the people themselves. What I tell people is this bill is being used by the left to make their names great, to make money off of people, to create this, to stir up the flame in people's heart, create fear without a need. What this bill does is enforces the laws that are there. If you don't like the laws that are there, fine, change them. But we live in a country that's the rule of law, and we have to follow them. We have to obey them. That's why immigrants come to this law, to this country. That's why people gravitate. And the word immigrant is an honorable thing. But the laws and the Constitution define what an immigrant is. An immigrant is something that's beautiful, this country welcomes, but we have to honor the laws. That's a separate subject. And if we're talking about immigration reform, that's a different subject. Then let's handle that in Washington. But the states have the responsibility and the right to protect the people in their state. And that's what this bill is, and it does.
So where can people go to learn more or to find more information that we've been talking about?
I appreciate you asking that question because there are several places, but I've tried to make it as easy as possible because there's so much information out there. On my website, Montenegro AZ, it's my last name, Montenegro and AZ as in Arizona.com, I've placed 3 PDF files, 3 places that people can read, and one of them is the facts versus the fiction of 1070. Another one is the actual list of what it does and what it doesn't do. And then it takes you to a summary to our House website, Arizona House website, the actual summary of the bill. So you know that you're getting information that's directly from the bill and not from hearsay.
And that's what I did, to be honest with you, because,
Exactly.
I mean, you can find any self-fulfilling prophecy on the website you want. Depending on what you're looking for, you can find it. What I did was I went to your state legislative website. In Texas, we call it our HRO, our House Research Organization, or the bill analysis.
Okay.
Right? There's no spin. It's just the facts, what it does. So I went to the Arizona website, and that's what I read because I wanted to learn it without the spin. So I would, yeah, exactly. It's a great place to go and find that information.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we have to be, I know that sometimes laws are hard to read, but we're not stupid people, you know? We could see the summaries. We could see the bill for itself. And let's not let people lie to us. Let's go to the source, read it.
Absolutely.
And it's very clear. I mean, when you read it, you'll see it. In the bill itself, it says you cannot use race or color or ethnicity to imply this bill. You cannot violate someone's civil rights. I mean, it's in there. So you'll be happy to know that it's there.
Well, man, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.